Welcome to week 4 of PSHS 6240 here at George Washington University School of Professional Studies. I just wanted to review, again, we had a good WebEx session, well done for the two folks in Group 1 that were able to be there. If you're in Group 1, please upload the PowerPoint presentation to the Assignment 1 tab. And for the two people that were there, please share my comments that I made to the rest of your classmates as well that weren't able to attend. Paper 1 is due now, yesterday, tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this. Please get that in. I didn't get any requests for extensions, so I expect those in on time, and I should have those back to you in a week. So week 3 review. Again, the road to 9/11 was the big piece. And as you go through this, one, let me give you knock, stop my foot stomping. There's going to be a question related to this on the exam. But do we look at the road to 9/11 as something that we look back in time, back at the founding of Islam in 800 AD, the Crusades, Wahhabism in the 17th century, the Mandate period after World War I? Do we go back in history 100, 150, 100 to 1,000 years? Or do we look at more recent history? The Six-Day War, the Afghan War, the U.S. occupation of Saudi Arabia as elements that radicalized a fringe of Islam that we saw not just on 9/11, but we saw it kind of in response to 9/11. So do we look at the long term? Do we look at the short term? Where does the story start? And I should just pre-warn you that I have feelings on this. I look more in the short term, and I look at this from like a social scientist. Yes, there's been other, yes, the Middle East was essentially colonized after World War I, but most of Africa was colonized, most of Asia was colonized, and you tend not to see the same dysfunctions coming out of, say, Korea or Thailand or the Congo as you saw in the Middle East in the run-up to 9/11. I will say that some of those dysfunctions that were outlined in the post-World War I period, they are relevant now. Lebanon, as I'm speaking now, is considered kind of a failing state. Arguably, because it was an artificial state that contributed to it kind of essentially being failing as a government. Syria. The wars in Syria, the civil war in Syria, arguably stems from Syria being a creation of that post-World War I time frame. You can point to Iraq, you can point to other places as well that are essentially created states, and that has contributed to what we're seeing in the headlines now. I'll let you decide whether you think that's true or not, whether you look at those historical patterns or it's just kind of the waylay of current events that are contributed to some of those state failures. So going on to week 4, Terrorism Adaptation, so 2 sections. The reading, there's a 200-page RAND article. Do not read the entire article. Choose one of the groups, and there's 5 of the groups. There's Jemaah Islamiyah, Shinrikyo, the Earth Liberation Front, the Provisional IRA, and Hezbollah. Choose one of those groups. Compare it to ISIS, which you're going to watch in the PBS Frontline documentary. When you're going through it, how is it like ISIS? How is it not like ISIS? And what were the success factors or the failure factors? Hezbollah has been around for 40 years now. What gives us its staying power? How has it turned from a terrorist group to now a political entity? What were those factors? Shinrikyo doesn't really exist anymore. Why? Despite having massive resources back in the 1990s. Why? What has Shinrikyo done that has caused it to fail? So look at those success and failure factors going forward. And then the second is WMD Terrorism. The reading is the Shinrikyo article on their sarin attack in 1995. And then you have the the video on Dirty War by HBO, which is a simulated terrorist attack or radiological attack against London. I have my lecture, and then in the discussion point, I want you to ask why Shinrikyo was successful in conducting a mass chemical weapons attack while Al-Qaeda and ISIS have not? What are the factors that have been successful in Pinocchio and failures for those other terrorist groups? So if there's any questions or issues, let me know, and I look forward to your reading your papers this week.